and this is really, in some ways, the key word. Is anybody of Greek origin? Does anybody know ancient Greek or modern Greek? The word, you do? Yeah. Do you remember what the etymology of the word critical is?
Judging, I think.
That's right, judging. It comes from they didn't get that in Carey. That's exactly right. And it comes from the word, the kritikos is the one who sits in the seat of judgment. And so a critical edition is full of human judgments, but judgments made on accumulating and discerning through lots and lots of evidence. And so what editorial teams do, or editors do, is they gather evidence, they sift through it, they weigh it carefully, and then they try to determine the best readings. But because transparency is really important, any decent scholarly edition, like any scholarly edition for Oxford University Press, thank you very much, will always have what has this ridiculous fancy name called an apparatus criticus. And the apparatus criticus, the critical apparatus, is the list of all the variant readings. So if one were to do this poem Poetry by Marion Moore, one would track all the variant readings in the back of the book or at the foot of the page. And of course, where you put them depends upon how accessible they are to the reader, but that's another matter. So a scholarly edition is always trying to determine what is the best text, and then to give all the other major instantiations of that text so that the reader of the edition can say, okay, this is what the editor decided, but here are these other variations, and here's what I would want to decide. So some of you probably remember from when you were in school, there's a big question in Hamlet about, oh, that this too solid flesh would thaw, melt, and resolve itself into a dew. Do you remember that? Or is it sullied flesh? Or is it some indeterminate word in between the two of those? And then the question always is, what difference does it make for interpretation? One of the things that scholarly editions traditionally try to do is to honor authorial intentions. Because how would you make a determination unless you were saying, not, this is what I like best? When Alexander Pope was editing Shakespeare, he said, well, I picked this reading because I liked it better. We don't do that in scholarly editions anymore. We say, well, we picked this reading because we think it's the one that is most accurate, the one that typically most honors the author's intentions. Typically, and that can be a problematic thing. So, but do you honor the author's originary intention, the 30-line poem? Do you honor the author's final intention, the 3-line poem? Do you choose another poem that's where she says, I love this poem, and it's a 17-line version? How do you decide? And it's all about this critical enterprise. So the key thing to take away, I think, is that these editions matter hugely to scholars because they are the true basis of interpretation. And they matter hugely to authors. Most Oxford authors and scholarly editions are not living, but it might be useful to remember what Mark Twain telegraphed to his publisher when he learned that a proofreader was changing his punctuation from the manuscript because the proofreader didn't like it. This never happens at the press. And he got cabled that this was happening, and Twain wrote back, please have him shot without giving him time to pray. So it's really important that we honor what we think the author was trying to do. But sometimes these things are complex because it's not just the author, it's the author working in concert with maybe an editor or group authorship or various possibilities. Are there questions at this point about what a scholarly edition is, what it does, how it tries to do it? A little bit? No? Everybody's with me so far? Yeah? Truly? Good.